Denise. Denise. It's Denise. It's Denise. It's Denise. Denise. It's a podcast party. It's a podcast party. It's a podcast party.
I gotta say, I feel like we're besties now after this. What's up, guys? It's Denise Salcedo. What's up, everyone? It's Denise Salcedo. Welcome to Speak Now Pro Wrestling. Happy almost Halloween, everybody. It's been Halloween weekend here on Speak Now Pro Wrestling. For those of you who are watching right now on the video version, you are seeing a very, very lovely and totally not creepy whatsoever Seth Rollins. Not creepy, right? Not creepy? Yeah, it's totally creepy. If you're listening on the audio version, you're missing out on all of the fun action, but we're going to get to this show because we got SmackDown to talk about. We got AEW Rampage to talk about. We got two pretty decent shows to get into. SmackDown overall, they tried a lot of new stuff. And then in terms of AEW Rampage, we had some pretty interesting wrestling here tonight. So we're going to make sure to get into all of that here today. Also, I just realized something. Hold on. Oh man. Someone asked how's Becky, and I just realized that somewhere around here, I know I have a little Becky doll, but I don't remember where it's at, but it's somewhere around here. I just don't remember where I put it. I was about to bring it out, but then things would have gotten really weird around here. Before we get started, friendly reminder, guys, to take part in the chat. Make sure you're active. Leave some comments. Send in your thoughts, whatever you guys want. If you do want to get your comment read on the air, 100% guaranteed. You can go ahead and send in a super chat. If you do send in a super chat, I will go ahead and read your comment. Additionally, I do get to keep 100% of the proceeds for all super chats, so you guys can continue to keep funding my Halloween costumes. So here we go. We actually got our first super chat. This one is from Devin Schultz, who says, the Rampage finish was the worst ending to an AEW show since pre-Brody Lee Dark Order laid out the Elite. Abaddon's character belongs in WWE, not AEW. I gotta be honest, guys. I'm seeing a lot, and I haven't really been on social media like in the last 2 minutes because I was preparing for the show, but I liked the ending to AEW Rampage today, guys. I really, really liked the match between, especially the ending. I liked the ending, maybe not the roll up, but everything before that, the thumbtacks in the mouth and, all of that. I did like that aspect of the show. And now I know that everybody's talking about, maybe Abaddon's character not being for them. Truthfully, I don't see any harm in Abaddon's character. Additionally, this was a Halloween-themed show, so why not have Abaddon in this, in this match on the show? I see absolutely nothing wrong with them, but then again, I love Halloween, and well, you guys already know that. But in terms of Abaddon's character, I don't mind it. I like it because what is she supposed to be? Is she supposed to be like every other single person on the roster? She's sticking out on her own. And granted, that does kind of keep her back from possibilities. But at the same time, it's like that's who she is. So clearly that's what she wants to do. I personally have no issue with it. I do not mind it, but I know that it's not for everybody. So it's really up to you guys. At the end of the day, it's entertainment. And, some people are entertained by certain things and others are not. There are tons of things that I don't like, as you guys already know. But thank you so much to Devin Schultz for sending in the first super chat. And this one is from Daniel Zambrano. Thank you so much to Daniel, who says, Abaddon is fantastic. That match ruled. All right, so this is what I'm getting here, okay? This is what I'm getting because I'm looking at some of the comments right now and I'm noticing that some people either really like this, they really like the Abaddon character and they really liked what they saw tonight on Rampage. And there are other people who are just like, hell no, this is not for me. So I think this is one of those things where you're not really sort of in between. You're either or. You're either for it or you're like totally against it. Again, for me, if it's entertaining, if it's fun, I thought it was entertaining. It's fun. So it's working for me. Thank you so much to Daniel Zambrano for sending in this super chat. I really appreciate it. And we're going to actually get started with, SmackDown, everybody. SmackDown is what we're going to go ahead and get started with on today's show. And then we're going to go ahead and close out with Rampage here today. So let's go ahead and get into SmackDown, because I will say this much today, guys. I am so happy that they actually decided to do a lot of different things on today's show for the most part, okay? So I gotta really put over, and this is one of those things where it's like, I'm gonna really put over the opening to SmackDown, but at the same time, I am gonna get a little frustrated towards the very, very end. But the opening of SmackDown, we essentially had Charlotte Flair cut a promo. And now, as you all know, since you haven't been sleeping under a rock, you all know that Charlotte and Becky Lynch have essentially been in the news as of late. Now, on Becky Lynch's Monday night promo, she kind of alluded a little bit to the stuff that's been in the news. She didn't really hammer it in, but she did sort of allude to the rumors, the reports, and everything going around between Becky and Charlotte and their whole backstage feud and their whole backstage controversy. So today on the show, I had a feeling that, obviously Charlotte was going to do the exact same thing. Charlotte doesn't seem like the type of person who isn't going to, get something in there, in terms of obviously that was part of the big argument that, she kind of went off on her own and kind of did her own thing, that sort of thing. But today, during this promo, and I just got to say, first and foremost, I bloody loved it. I loved it because Charlotte gets so much hate from so many people. People really don't a lot of people don't like her, right? I get all of that. I love Charlotte. I'm such a big Charlotte fan, which is kind of funny me saying this right now, wearing Seth Rollins' face on my face. But anyway, so Charlotte comes out. I just think she's such a good heel, and I think she plays the part right, and I think she's the best female heel that they have right now in WWE. Anyway, so she comes out, and she basically says she is the face of the company. And right away, I'm like, okay, that is definitely she's going somewhere with this, because she says she's the face of the company. She says she's the most decorated woman in sports entertainment. And I'm pretty sure she has said stuff like this before. I'm sure she has a zillion times, but it hit differently this week. Knowing the whole drama, it hit differently this week. So then Charlotte, she kind of amps up the heelness, and I love this so much because she starts mocking all the other girls. She basically starts saying that when other girls win championships, they're like, yay, oh my God, I won a title, this and that. And she said, quote, when I win another title, it's just another Friday. And I just thought to myself, damn, diva overload. I love it. I love this very cocky, confident Charlotte Flair, and I like that it works and it gets under the skin of a lot of people. And then she also does allude to last week's drama, but in terms of this line work when she said this, because it could mean last week's drama, what we saw, in the news, or she could just be in storyline talking about last week's drama in terms of the title swap. So I really like that she kind of came out here and really gave 0 Fs. She did not care. She kind of went in here and did her own thing. I was a fan of this. Immediately after, Sasha Banks comes out, and Sasha basically tells her, she just goes off, and she adds to this whole, all of what's been being said about Charlotte Flair, and all of these different reports that people are cheering for Becky Lynch and that they're not on Charlotte Flair's side, and all of those, reports that we've been seeing. So Sasha basically says that Charlotte doesn't care about any of the other women on the roster, and that she just wants to keep them down because she only cares about herself. This was such a good promo, and it was several good lines, because there are a lot of people who really feel this way about Charlotte Flair. So having Sasha Banks essentially come out and say all of this, I think really hit home to make this a lot more interesting. Additionally, Charlotte Flair basically tells Sasha Banks that she spoke to Sonya and that she talked to Sonya and basically wants a new face to come in and challenge for her championship. She doesn't want to keep doing the same old thing with Sasha Banks, right? So Shotzi Blackheart ends up coming out, and I'm thinking to myself, holy damn, finally we're seeing Shotzi. We haven't seen Shotzi since I don't even remember when. God, I don't even remember. My memory is drawing a blank right now. But so Shotzi comes out, and as we all know, she's no longer part of a tag team with Tegan Nox. We have not seen Tegan Nox since a little bit before the draft, I believe. And so we end up getting Charlotte versus Shotzi. Now, before we get to Charlotte versus Shotzi, the actual match, I just want to start off by saying that the reason why I did like this segment is that I really felt that all the women in this promo, in the segment, played their parts to the T. Charlotte Flair was the ultimate heel. Sasha Banks came out and she, wanted a title shot. She didn't necessarily get it, but she wasn't being like whiny or annoying about it. So that was really awesome. And then you have obviously Shotzi Blackheart coming out, and we're getting a fresh match out of this. But before we get to the match, I'm going to go ahead and read some of your thoughts and see what you guys were saying about what you guys thought about the actual promo work. But we actually got a super chat from Sebastian Mikulik, who says that that the American Dragon Bryan Danielson versus Eddie Kingston was a match of the year candidate. It was a fantastic match, and we will talk about it once we get to Rampage. But thank you so much for sending in this super chat. I really appreciate you. And let's go through some comments to see what people are saying here. And this one is a comment from Carney Business, who says that he didn't watch SmackDown, but of course Charlotte is a good wrestler. People just get annoyed with how Vince books her, like being overly obsessed with hitting breaking 16. Yeah, it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate because I do think that Charlotte gets a lot of unnecessary heat and a lot of unnecessary negative comments, but it is what it is, right? Mac Hensley sends in a comment saying if next month or so is opened with Charlotte having great 15-ish minute matches with underused talent, it could maybe turn some of the haters, and maybe the locker room atmosphere will improve too. And that's the thing. I know TalkSport did report that Charlotte Flair did want Bianca Belair to beat her on that Monday for the Raw Women's Championship. So I feel like that's something to definitely bring up. But that one I feel like that portion of the story kind of flew under the radar. At least I think, because everybody was just so focused on, Charlotte getting escorted or not getting escorted and all of that good stuff, that I think a lot of people sort of kind of forgot to talk about Charlotte actually, at least given the report that Charlotte actually wanted Bianca to take the title there. And let's go through a couple more. Actually, we got a super chat from Brandon Charles Powell, who says, I just turned on the stream and Seth Rollins appears to have taken over. Yeah, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in, sending in the super chats. I appreciate it. I'm not going to keep the mask on the entire time, just for a little while, just for a little bit. I also look terrible, so I'm better off with the mask. We got, let's see what else we got here. All right. I'm going to go ahead and jump into the Charlotte versus Shotzi match and talk about this, because this is kind of where things get a little bit more complicated. And by this, if you want to call it complicated, all right? So first and foremost, thank goodness we are getting a fresh matchup in Charlotte versus Shotzi. I was so happy, a match we hadn't seen before. So I liked that. I also like the fact that Sasha Banks stayed at ringside, and obviously we know why, because that played into this after the match. But during this entire match, Shotzi is extremely over, okay? The crowd is going nuts, chanting Shotzi, 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 and people are like really, really into her. She got, given that she's, obviously an NXT person, coming into the main roster, she got, in my opinion, from what I remember, she got a bigger response, obviously, than Karrion Kross. Everybody knows, because Karrion Kross didn't get any reaction, right? But I recall her getting a bigger reaction than Keith Lee. Like, I don't even remember Keith Lee honestly getting a reaction like the way Shotzi did. So good for her. And I'm thinking, finally, oh my God, we got this baby face. This is going to be great. They got something in Shotzi. You not only do you have, like, part of the reason why I think she was so over is obviously her look. She has a very unique look, a very fun look, a look that, if I feel like it attracts different people. Like, obviously, people are going to crush on her, but at the same time, people are going to want to be like her. And, little girls are going to look up to her and, oh, she's so cool. She's got that Lita thing, the Lita factor. And I know this because as a young girl, I looked up to Lita. And if I was a younger girl right now during this time period, I would be a big fan of Shotzi Blackheart, and I would want to dye my hair green and be just like Shotzi Blackheart. So that's how I know that this is essentially part of the reason why she's definitely getting over here. But she comes in, she brings in kind of what you're used to seeing her on NXT, pretty much the exact same thing, bringing in lots of energy, doing all of that good stuff. She got so much offense during this match, and the crowd was definitely behind it. It also helped her that she was in this match with Charlotte Flair, who, like I said, is very is pretty disliked. So it kind of helped Shotzi in the fact that people really, were rooting for her. They were getting behind her and all of that good stuff. And she did have another horrible dive. Shotzi has been known for not necessarily having the very best dives. This one was bad too. I was not a fan of it. I think she needs to she definitely needs to work on that, because you don't want to see her hurt herself or at all, For the finish, we saw Shotzi kick out of a standing moonsault from Charlotte. And then afterwards, Charlotte ends up hitting the natural selection for the win. But they also protected Shotzi Blackheart during this match because she sort of got distracted by Sasha Banks. And this ended up, not essentially being like a perfectly clean finish. So they also protected Shotzi, which was pretty interesting. And I thought to myself, all right, here we go. We finally got a baby face. And part of me was even thinking man, they're finally going to do what I've been thinking that they should do with Liv Morgan, but they're probably going to do it with Shotzi Blackheart. But then I was completely wrong, guys. Completely wrong, because then they had Shotzi Blackheart literally go nuts. She just goes savage. She loses it, and she, starts beating up on Sasha. She just goes so mad, and she essentially has a heel turn. Literally. A heel turn. She was super over during this entire match, and then they decided to turn her heel. And here's my question, and I'm sorry, and maybe somebody here in the chat can help me out, but when the hell did Sasha Banks become a babyface? Wasn't she a heel? When did this happen? I remember Sasha Banks being a heel, and then out of nowhere she's a babyface, and I'm just like, okay, now I need to reframe everything. I don't necessarily recall when Sasha Banks became a babyface, but okay, I'll take it. Okay, I'll take it. But it was just one of those things where I really do think that they had something with Shotzi Blackheart as a babyface. I didn't like that they turned her heel. I think they should have kept her as a babyface. However, I will say this though, her basically going off and going mad immediately after this post-match, she did a hella good job at it. She brought a lot of intensity, and I definitely bought that she was super, super pissed. So I did enjoy her being a heel. I did enjoy all of that, but I would have necessarily preferred her. It made more sense to have her as a baby face. And on top of that, we need more baby faces. But let's see what you guys have. Go ahead and send in your thoughts here. Let's see what you guys are saying here. All right, let's see what you guys are saying. Someone is Sticker Reds 202 says that Sasha is a perma heel. She can't help it. Pomi Wrestling says Sasha turned babyface by virtue of not being Charlotte. Oh my God. Let's see what else we got here. This one is from Devin Schultz, who says, as soon as I saw people on Twitter, including Denise, saying Shotzi was a breath of fresh air, I almost tweeted that WWE would ruin it. Never expected that it would be mere minutes. And that's the truth. So I literally tweeted, oh my God, Shotzi's so over, something along those lines. And literally, I went back and I looked to see how long ago it was when I tweeted that. 13 minutes. 13 minutes later, I was like, oops, this tweet aged very, very poorly because they obviously had her go heel. So it is what it is, guys. Let's see what else we got here. This one is from, all right, we got so many different comments, guys. Okay, this one's from Justin Martin, who says that Charlotte is legitimately one of the best women's wrestlers anywhere. Problem is just how much she's been pushed to the moon and back. 13 title reigns now, I think. Previous record was 7 by Trish. See, there's the thing too, is that I don't mind the title reigns. What I do mind is when they bounce the title back and forth, where you have these quick when you have these like transitional championship runs and these, very short title reigns. I'm not into that, guys. You already know this. I'm not into that whatsoever. If you have all of these reigns, I'd rather have them be like lengthy, but then you wouldn't have so many because they'd be lengthy. So that kind of defeats that. But anyways, I can't help it. I know a lot of people don't like the booking of Charlotte Flair, and I totally get it. But at the same time, I'm a Charlotte Flair fan, so I come in with a different perspective, everybody. A different perspective. Man, I can't talk. I'm blaming the Seth Rollins brain. Leonard Aarons III says WWE stays booking to spite its audience and ensure their talent doesn't truly gain any meaningful traction. They split up Tegan and Shotzi. Now she's a heel. And I kind of hope, I don't know, man. See, maybe they could make her they could make her into like a cool heel, like an Austin, like a Britt Baker. They could make her into a cool heel that could work for Shotzi. Because even when she was going like rampant and, free and, going mad, there were still people that were cheering for her. And granted, they were probably confused and didn't know what to do. But yeah, maybe they can do that for her. That would be interesting, but I don't think so. I think they're going to just have her fully on as a heel. All right, everybody, but let's go ahead and move on because that was honestly, but I will say this though. I think that was my favorite part of SmackDown was everything that they did with the women, even though I didn't necessarily love everything. I loved most of it, and that's what's important. Alrighty, after this I did not love. This was very dumb, guys. So, as you all know, Brock Lesnar essentially went mad, ripped up Adam Pearce's pants, destroyed everything, went absolutely nuts. So Adam Pearce comes out and he's in his like office, I guess, or in his house. I don't know where he's at, but he's set up and he has in the background this computer monitor. And I couldn't pay attention to this promo because the entire time I kept looking at the monitor because it was crooked. And I just kept thinking like, why is it crooked? Why is the computer monitor crooked? It didn't make any sense. And I was trying to like look and see if it was like maybe placed slightly on top of the keyboard or something strange. Like I was too busy thinking about that instead of listening to this promo. And then all I heard was, I'm fining Brock Lesnar $1 million. So Adam Pearce fines Brock Lesnar $1 million. And I'm sorry, but it's just not believable, okay? I feel like $1 million is too outrageous of a number. It's kind of like when you're playing with a little kid and you're playing imaginary store and you buy a cupcake from the kid and you ask the kid how much is it and he's like, $1 million. It's not believable. It's a game. That's exactly what this reminded me of. I think they overdid it. They overshot it. They overshot it with the $1 million and it just wasn't believable. One of the things that I made sure to like tweet out was the fact that you saw, throughout the Attitude Era, you saw Stone Cold do all this stuff to Vince McMahon when they were feuding, literally attacking him in the hospital, ruining his Corvette, putting a gun to his head and making him pee his pants and all of that. And never once did he get fined $1 million. It doesn't make sense. But whatever. Brock Lesnar gets fined $1 million. We got a super chat from Leonard Aarons III. Thank you so much to Leonard, who says, I'm calling it now. Brock Lesnar will win the 2022 Royal Rumble. Spoiler, not a prediction. I kind of saw a couple of people predicting the exact same thing. Now, I know realistically we're still, November, December, January. We're like roughly 3 months away from the Royal Rumble, right? I just feel like still so much can change. I feel still so much can change that even though I know some people think Brock Lesnar might win the Royal Rumble, I'm still not entirely convinced, okay? Give me some more time. Circle back in like a month and a half from now and we'll see how I'm feeling. But thank you so much to Leonard for sending in the super chat. I really appreciate it. And alrighty, guys, let's go ahead and Sticker Red says, oh, this is a funny comment from Danny Spears, who says that Brock Lesnar did not get fined $1 million because Vince ain't no snitch. Don't be a snitch, guys. Don't be a snitch. And Sticker Reds 202 says Brock is going to fine Pierce 1 million ass kickings. Probably 1 million suplexes, that's for sure. This is from Carney Business, who says, Jesus, I think one of the highest fines as a shoot was $100K when Batista did a blade job. 1 million fine is just absurd. It is absurd because, like, if you go and you, like, look at, like, and I don't know that much about sports, all right, guys? Like, I got, like, hardly no sports knowledge, all right? So take this for what you will. But I'm fully, like, please, if there's any, like, sports experts watching this right now, like, legitimately, when has a player been legitimately fined $1 million? I want to know. I'm curious. Has there been anybody? Because it just seems too outrageous. And if that's not happening in real life, I don't need to see it happening here. All right. Carney Business, thank you so much for that comment here. And Jeremy Jimenez says $1 million. Adam Pearce's seamstress must be super expensive. Bro, where did he get those pants from? Where did he get those pants from? You know, it would have been really funny if he would have brought out like a bill, like a receipt with like all the things that Brock Lesnar damaged and like added them up. And then at the end, you get like his pants, like $995,000. I don't know, some like outrageous number or something like that. All right, cool, guys. Let's go ahead and move into this next portion of the show. One of the things that I mentioned that SmackDown, I think, did right today was do a couple of fresh matches. And we mentioned the one earlier between Shotzi and Charlotte. Another one that we got that I liked, that I was happy with, was Drew McIntyre and Mustafa Ali. I liked this. So Drew McIntyre comes out and he basically says he's in an ass-kicking mood. And I'm like, hell yeah, me too, bro. And then he basically issues an open challenge and wants to fight somebody. So Mustafa Ali comes out and answers it. And I'm like, all right, cool. This was harmless. Drew McIntyre is literally launching Mustafa Ali over his head. Ali goes for a 450, but Drew essentially moves out of the way. Drew locks in the Kimura, and Mustafa Ali ends up tapping out right away, and that is how he wins this match. But one of the things that I do want to bring up here is that I have a feeling, and I know a lot of people were already expecting to see Drew versus Roman at some point, but I like how they are starting to plant the seeds, and they planted the seeds during this match. And the way that they did so is that so Mustafa Ali went for a DDT, and Drew essentially overpowered him, and that's how he locked in the Kimura. And essentially, he locked it in from that similar, the DDT position is similar to the guillotine position, so that he was able to overpower that and essentially lock in the Kimura. So I almost feel like that was like, trying to make a connection with like, all right, now now we've seen him sort of counter what he can possibly counter the guillotine with the way that he did it today, but with the DDT that Ali was trying to do. So I kind of liked that little subtle connection, and I take it as they're starting to plant some seeds here. So I really liked all of that there. Additionally, this helps out Drew McIntyre so much more in the sense of having these matches with Mustafa Ali, or having a match with Mustafa Ali, or just having a match period, just helps him out so much better than when they were doing the story time with Drew on Raw, which was just like god awful. So at least now, we're getting some entertaining matches, and I want to see guys like Mustafa Ali get rewarded. And granted, nobody's expecting him to beat Drew McIntyre. That's not even the issue. No, we just want to go out and, at least see something a little different, everybody, a little different. Alrighty, and after this, so don't really have, actually, I'm going to skip this and we'll talk about it. Well, I might as well just bring it up really quickly. All right, so we got King Woods essentially coronating Kofi Kingston. He does a coronation and all of that. This ends up setting up the main event for later tonight, which was Xavier Woods and Kofi Kingston versus the Usos. We'll talk about that once we actually get to the main event. But after this, we had a trick or street fight between Baron Corbin and Madcap Moss versus Shinsuke Nakamura and Rick and Boogs. And I'll be honest, guys, I kind of tuned out for this. This one, I didn't really pay attention to this one as much. I'll be realistic. This one for me, I just what the hell was I doing? I don't know what. I think I was getting my costume ready, and I was just kind of like watching, but not really like completely getting invested in it. But I do want to point out that we finally saw, I think it's been a while since we've seen Reggie and, the 24/7 title picture. They kind of had it constantly, on Raw. And then since the draft, I don't recall them doing a 24/7 segment. Or maybe I just forgot, but we got that. We also saw the Creed brothers. The Creed brothers were there. Apparently, they had a dark match along with Raquel as well. So the Creed brothers were spotted on SmackDown TV today. There was a funny moment where they had Boogs essentially bob for apples, and then we also saw Humberto and Angel Garza take part in all of this. It was a lot. It was a lot, everybody. Chad West says that match was a horror in a good way or a horror in a bad way, because it's Halloween. So a horror in a good way, that's okay, but a horror in a bad way, not so much. Danny Spears says, so over this feud. I was more excited to see Drew Gulak run in, but I genuinely adore him, though. See, for me, in all honesty, guys, I don't like what they've been doing with Shinsuke Nakamura and Rick Boogs. It was funny the first, maybe, 2 weeks when they were doing all of the, the guitar stuff and the entrance, and Pat McAfee's on the table and he's dancing and having a good time. But then there were certain weeks where that was all they did. I think during SummerSlam, right? On SummerSlam, they literally only had a segment where he came out and they danced and they played the music and that was it, right? I'm sorry, but it's just not that funny anymore. I can move on. I just don't get the same kick out of it as I did the first 2 weeks. So for me, I haven't really been liking what they've been doing with Shinsuke Nakamura. All of those matches that he had with Baron Corbin really took it. I was always a big fan of Shinsuke Nakamura, but I think they've done so much damage to his character to the point where when he comes out, I'm kind of just like, oh, okay, well, I already know what I'm going to get out of this, and it's not going to be much, which is unfortunate because I was always a Shinsuke Nakamura fan, but it's I haven't really liked what they've been doing with him as of late. And Rick Boogs, when he has, his matches, he's pretty explosive and you have some good moments, but that's kind of it. That's really it. Honestly. Alrighty, and let's go ahead and move on, everybody. So after this, we are going to go into Naomi versus Shayna, with the special referee being Sonya Deville. She essentially incorporates herself as the referee during this, and this is pretty much just to further the story. I'm totally okay with that. You see Naomi essentially trying to get the cover on Shayna, but obviously Sonya, she's the referee. She decides not to count, and so she doesn't count, and Shayna ends up getting the win here. So it was really quick, just furthers the story. Naomi gets pissed at Sonya. That's pretty much it. Not really much to say there. For the main event, we had a pretty fun match between Kofi, Xavier, and the Usos. This was fun. This was harmless. This was a good match. It was okay, but I've seen it, been there, done that about a zillion times. So Xavier and Kofi get the win here. Good for them. That was SmackDown, everybody. Truly, the highlights of the show were legitimately, for me at least, was the stuff that they did with the women at the top. Alrighty, everyone. My goodness, I can finally take off the Seth Rollins mask that was squishing my nose, and now I look like Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. So my apologies if I look terrible currently on camera. Do not mind my face. My nose is killing me now because this mask was squishing my nose down. But we're moving on to Rampage. We got quite a few things to talk about, so we'll get right into that. But first and foremost, we got a super chat from CT who says they'll turn Woods heel. They can't help themselves. They gave us what we want with a King of the Ring push. Now they have to take it away. That's WWE. I've been sensing a heel turn from Xavier Woods. I've been sensing it. It's been there. I don't know, yeah, it's definitely been there. Thank you so much to CT for sending in the super chat, but let's go ahead and go into Rampage, everybody. What are you guys talking about? Someone's saying that, oh, thank you. This isn't me. This is totally me. Sorry, guys. My nose is pink, everybody. Oh man, that's embarrassing. All right. Ignore the pink nose, everybody, please. We kick off the show with a match that ended up getting a standing ovation. The AEW World Title Eliminator semifinals match here with Bryan Danielson versus Eddie Kingston. And I will tell you what was more pink than my nose by the end of this match, and that was Bryan Danielson's chest. Holy damn. Okay. Let's get into this. So I don't know how best to describe this match other than at the top portion of it, we see Eddie Kingston just chop the living hell out of Bryan Danielson. Really quickly into this match, you start to see Bryan Danielson, literally his chest looks like the color of my jacket. We see Eddie Kingston we see him chop Bryan Danielson. We see him bite him in the face, and it's just getting like really, really aggressive here. And then as we move forward to this, we start to see ways in which Eddie Kingston is trying to tire out Bryan Danielson. And then he continues to keep on chopping him, and we just kind of see so much of this until Bryan Danielson finally gets the upper hand during this match after several yes kicks, just like knocking them into Eddie Kingston. And then finally, we see Bryan go for the Fujiwara armbar, but is unable to actually lock it in. And so Eddie Kingston then gets him with a DDT. And then literally after this, we start to see the standing ovation because these men are just going back and forth. And then shortly after, we do get the win from Bryan Danielson. And here's the thing. Everybody knew Bryan Danielson was going to win this match, but it kind of didn't necessarily matter because the match itself was really hard hitting, and it made it so good to the point where you had everybody standing up in the crowd. You had a very nice shot of they zoomed out and they did a really nice shot of the audience and everybody around the ring essentially standing up and clapping. So it kind of made the match feel even more special when you saw the audience react to it in that way. So that was really fun. Bryan Danielson will be making it to the finals, and he's either going to be facing Orange Cassidy or Jon Moxley. After this, we do see Eddie Kingston essentially go and take his anger out on CM Punk, who was doing an interview with Tony Schiavone. So he even smashes and tosses the mic on the floor. So we're definitely most likely gonna be seeing CM Punk versus Eddie Kingston sooner rather than later. We got a super chat from Devin Schultz who says Kingston giving Danielson the finger before eventually passing out is going to be you, a certain someone, if the Jets lose to the Bengals on Sunday. Hey, look, guys, I'm going in. I'm going to have fun on Sunday. It's going to be a good time, and that's about it. I'm going to enjoy myself. All right? We'll see what happens. You never know. You just never know. Thank you so much to Devin for sending in this super chat. I really appreciate it. And yeah, everybody's basically saying they feel the tournament is predictable. It pretty much is, but I can't say that it's been a disappointment though. I feel like predictable is one thing, but definitely not disappointing because we've had a lot of pretty good matches, and this was definitely one of them. Alrighty, guys, after this, we got Matt Seidel versus Dante Martin. I'll be honest with you guys. I was kind of there was things that I liked during this match. I liked the springboard drop kick from the top rope that Dante hit. I like the moonsault that we got from Dante. I like the finish with Martin hitting the coming off the top with the double jump moonsault. I liked all of that for the finish. Good. Happy that he got the win, but I kind of was hoping this match would be, I've seen better is what I'm trying to say. I've seen better. I think given both of these guys, I was expecting a little bit more. And granted, this is a shorter show. You don't get as much time. I get all of that stuff. So I was really looking forward to this match. And I think my expectations were probably a little bit higher. It was not a bad match, but it just wasn't necessarily a blowaway match. I'm gonna forget about it after today's show. I'm gonna move on with my life. It's not gonna be a match that I go back and talk about. Obviously, like the Eddie Kingston Bryan Danielson one, but I was expecting just a little bit more from this match. I'll be real. And let's see what else we got here. David Hoda says that Dante needed the dominant win. The Cooge 97 says Dante is just insane. He and Vikingo from 3Play are the best young flyers in the game today. No one touches Vikingo. Vikingo's on another level. He is on a league of his own. And that's no shade to anybody, but Vikingo is literally on a league of his own. And yeah, he's on a league of his own. He's a totally different beast, all right? But yeah, Dante's great, but Vikingo's on another level. He's I've said that a million times, but I really want to emphasize that. I just think that he's incredible. That's what I want to get at. Thank you to the Cooch97 for sending in this comment. This is another comment from R. Riggs, who says, decent match, but until Dante is able to really grasp telling stories in the ring, I will have trouble getting into his matches. This was a comment from R. Riggs. And this is another comment from Corny Business, who says, I thought it was good while it lasted, but too short. Dante's new corner spot was really cool. Dude's going to be a star. Yep. He's young. He's going to be a big star. It's exciting to see. Alrighty, everyone. So the last and final thing that we're going to get into today for AEW Rampage is that main event match. And we kind of talked about it at the beginning of this show, but we're going to go ahead and talk about it a little bit more here right now. So we had the Trick or Treat main event, and this was Abaddon versus Britt Baker. And essentially the treat was, if Abaddon wins, she gets a title shot. And the trick is no DQ. Cool. Awesome. So this match essentially kicks off with Abaddon literally screaming right into Britt Baker's face. She just like screams, and Britt Baker like rolls out of the ring. Then once this match progresses, there's a moment in which Britt does a swinging DDT onto a table that is set up on the outside. Unfortunately, they don't have that much weight on them, or that much, weight and power to essentially break the table. So the table doesn't break. Instead, they sort of like slide off, which in turn, Chris Jericho made sure to point out on commentary that ends up hurting them a lot more, which I'm going to take his word for it. I believe him when he says that. And then shortly after, they try again to break the table. Britt tries again to put Abaddon through the table, but again, it just doesn't break. So they tried twice to break the table, but it didn't happen. But I kind of like that they, in a way, I think it added to this match it made it just look a little bit more aggressive. So I did like that. And then they get back into the ring. And this is where, for me, I started to really like this match even more, or more so, really. I ended up liking this match a lot more once they got back into the ring after that table spot, because you see Abaddon essentially bring out the thumbtacks, and right away they cut to a shot of Britt Baker, and Britt Baker kind of has like this this face where she immediately goes through these like flashbacks, and commentary mentions this immediately, basically saying that she's having flashbacks to that match that she had with Thunder Rosa, in which she, went through thumbtacks and all of that, right? So I like that they made that connection instantly. I really appreciated that. And then, so she brings out the thumbtacks. They have that close-up of Britt Baker. And then Britt does end up getting put straight in through those thumbtacks. Oh my God, I keep on saying thumbtacks. Thumbtacks, ladies and gentlemen. Thumbtacks. And then afterwards, Britt ends up putting Abaddon's face through the chair, and she basically does the Pillman spot on her, stomps her on the head while her head is in between the chair, in the opening of the chair. And I thought this was over. Britt thought it was over. Everybody thought it was over, but it wasn't. Instead, Abaddon just kind of like gets out of that immediately. And I like this because it made sense to her character. If it was anybody else on any other day, this would have been incredibly silly. But given the show, given the theme, given the character, I thought that it was perfectly okay to do. I was a fan of this. And then this kind of freaks out Britt Baker. Britt Baker's like, shit, like, oh my God, like this did not keep her down. What can I do to keep this monster down? So what she does instead is she shoves all these thumbtacks into Abaddon's mouth, and it looks disgusting because she's got the red tongue, and it just looks very, very gross. And then Britt Baker tries to get the lockjaw in on her, but she's kind of hesitant to actually put her fingers inside of Abaddon's mouth, and Abaddon quickly catches into that. So Abaddon ends up biting Britt's fingers, and I love this. Like, I loved all of these sequences of events. Like, I thought this was very, very interesting. It was gory, so I liked that. Afterwards, you see Rebel and Jamie Hayter get involved, and this ends up essentially helping Britt Baker get the win. So I liked it because it was gory. I liked her trying to get the lockjaw in on her and not being able to, not wanting to put her fingers in her mouth. I like the whole thing about putting thumbtacks in her mouth. I enjoyed all of that. I think it was enjoyable. Again, giving the theme of the show, it was fine. What did you guys think of this? Go ahead and send in your thoughts. I'm going to go ahead and read some of your guys' comments here. We got a super chat from Sebastian McCulloch. Thank you so much to Sebastian, who says, Rebel got bit, turns real zombie per zombie rules. That's true. Rebel did get bitten. So Rebel should probably be becoming a zombie. So there you go. We should be expecting Zombie Rebel next week. Thank you so much to Sebastian for sending in this super chat here. This is a comment from Karen Nova, who says, thought the match was a lot of fun and definitely deserved more time. You think? I thought it was fine. The timing was perfectly fine. It was fine. It gave you just enough. And we got a comment from Mike New York, who says that Britt is the king of death matches. She's definitely having fun doing that type of stuff. And you can tell that she's pretty much down for just about a lot of stuff. And obviously we had already seen that in her match with Thunder Rosa. A comment from Wrestle War, who says that the stomp looked brutal. Sebastian thought the finish was terrific. Like I said, guys, you're either going to really like this or you're not going to like this. Our Rig says this match was very well booked. How green Abaddon was. And once again, the table comes out. The victor must be Japanese. Really good match. Raymond Kostos says that he loves when Abaddon rises from the dead like that. Carney Business says, good main event, but personally, I'm not a fan of thumbtacks or glass in the mouth spots. Again, it's either for you or it's not for you. This is a comment from Roving Gambler, who says, I'm not a huge fan of women's wrestling, but I thought both girls did a good job. Justin Martin says, this match was a lot of fun. I love the PTSD line when the thumbtacks came out. The finish was pretty cheap, but the story was Britt barely surviving, so that makes sense. I thought it was fun, guys. And it gave a lot to Abaddon, who doesn't really get to be on Dynamite or Rampage very often. I don't even think I recall the last time I saw her on Dynamite or Rampage. I'm like forgetting. If she did, I don't even remember, which should tell you everything, which means it probably didn't mean much, which is obviously kind of sucky for her, but you know. All right. We got another super chat from Sebastian McCulloch, who says, money for candy for kids, no candy corns. I hate candy corn. Candy corn sucks. Thank you, Sebastian, for sending in the super chat. I thank you as well. And all right, guys, there you go. That was the show. That was SmackDown. That was Rampage. I hope you guys appreciated it. I will be back next week to chat about NXT on Tuesday, AEW on Wednesday, and then on Friday, I will be here to talk SmackDown and Rampage. So it'll be a really, really good time. So make sure you guys come in for that. I hope you all enjoyed the Halloween fun on this show. I will be posting a poll on Sunday asking you guys, trying to find out which costume of mine was your favorite, if it was the Scott Steiner, or if it was the Brandon Cutler, or the Seth Rollins. I'll be posting a poll on Sunday to get your votes in. So that's going to be very fun. Other than that, guys, please do not forget to subscribe to F4W Online, and I will see you back here on Tuesday. Have an awesome weekend. Happy Halloween, everybody.